Major League Journeymen, what's up, everyone? We're back, and yes, it's not the familiar voice you're used to. Major League Journeymen. We're not. It's not Gargs' rodeo today. All right. Gargs decided that he was going to take the day off. He's a DP now, traveling with his family, making his family a priority over the podcast. You know who is this guy, dude? So look,
hate to see it.
It's Dax and Gordo here with you live, having some fun. We're going to do it a little bit differently today, Gordo, because it's just you and me, two guys that just don't like to talk as much. We lose a big talker, a guy who is supposed to keep us on track. We try to shoot for like 35, 40 minutes. Every episode we talk about it. 35, 40 minutes, boom, we finish. We're at an hour and 10 minutes. It's just ridiculous, this guy. He says he's going to start keeping time. We know he's not. So I'm going to move us along way quicker. We're going to have a little bit of a more relaxed, fun pod for this one.
Nostalgic.
Nostalgic. We're going a little nostalgic. We got some. It's gonna be a little testy for you. I'm very excited about the end of the pod.
I'm nervous.
Yeah, you should be nervous because what we'll do is we'll play a little game we've been talking about doing for a minute, where I like to call it Blast from the Past. I'm going to throw you a couple pictures of former teammates, and we know you've had quite a few, and you're going to have to see if you remember them or not. And you got to give me a name and then maybe a little story. Maybe we'll see how much you remember about them. And the fun thing about this one is the soccer world is small. We know that. So most of these guys, it's only 5. Almost all of them I have crossed paths with at one point or another. Maybe teammates, maybe not. Maybe some funny stories involved. But we'll test you at the end. First, we're hitting Atlanta United in the week that was. I don't know how much you've seen because you've been making your family a priority these days, last week. Okay, so
I'm giving Gargs a hard time, but I have been checked out in family summertime. What I do know, Dax, is since the changing of the guard, my boy's been playing more, and we're on some kind of streak here. I mean,
all right, easy, buddy. It's not much. Listen, we just want to baby steps. All right. We've taken 5 points from our last 3 games. 2 of those have been on the road. But partially the only reason I've played a little bit more is because we have our stud Polish number 6 has been at the Euros, just representing his country in one of the biggest tournaments out there. So shout out to Bartek. What a guy. And also, this was kind of funny. He also got married in the middle of the season, which was excellent.
He did.
He got married right before the Euros, which was incredible. He's Polish. I don't even want to know how many bottles of vodka were housed at that wedding.
That's the first time I've ever heard that.
Well, it's interesting. These guys that come over from Europe, right? I mean, if you think about it from his perspective, if he proposes and he's going to get married, when are you going to get married? You're going to get married in the summer. So, if this was already planned, of course you work out something with the club, say, hey guys, I'm not postponing my wedding. You're going to give me a little bit of time, right? So,
okay.
Anyways, congrats to Bartek and his new bride. I'm sure it was lovely. But anyways, that's why I've been playing a little bit more. And honestly, man, it's been good under Rob, right? I've talked a little bit about what we needed to do to move forward and try to start picking ourselves up out of this rough start we've been in. And I think it just starts with the basics, man. Like the things that we've been doing in training. I told you guys before, Rob, he wanted us to play a little bit more direct. And I think that we've been doing that. We played Houston at home, really good team. Our boy Benny Olsen, by the way, which little surprise, he will be coming on the pod at some point in the very near future, which I'm very excited about. But he's got Houston playing really well. And so, of course, you want to win your home games. But I think, conceding, we were up 2-1, conceding a last-minute goal was frustrating. But then going on the road, beating DC, getting a draw in St. Louis, which was a good result for us. And by the way, fantastic atmosphere. My first time playing in St. Louis. It was a good week for Atlanta United. But honestly, our boy Dan, he's been to a couple other games. He's talked a little bit about it. It's a great atmosphere, Gordo. They got a lot going for them there. And I don't know if you've been there. I don't know if you've been to a game there, but their training facility where they train is downtown, literally right next to their stadium. I mean, it's a dope setup, dude. And I caught up with our boy Tim Parker after the game. He loves St. Louis. They've really bought into what the team's doing there. And yeah, look, they're struggling too, man. I think the theme of MLS the last couple of months is that teams that have been doing well, they're kind of in a little bit of a rut right now. And then teams that, haven't been doing well, we're starting to, pick up a few more points here and there. I talk about us in Atlanta, our boys in New England, where how critical we were about Caleb Porter. They've won 4 in a row now. Yeah. So listen, man, MLS is just as crazy as ever. And if you haven't been to a game in St. Louis yet, dude, you have to go. Shout out to St. Louis and their fans. They've got something really special there.
Well, maybe Gargs can have an invite since he won't come golfing anywhere. Maybe he can have an invite, fly me out, spend a little bit of his soccer club, the parent money.
That would have been a really good opportunity for the Journeymen to all get together. I don't think we've been together in person since we started this thing. It's kind of a shame. You guys aren't really making a lot of time for me. I'm still playing these days. You're gonna have to help me out here and tell the wife, hey, I'm going to St. Louis. Dax is playing. But then guess what? Gargs wasn't even there. He was spending time with his fam. So look, no harm, no foul. But that's quick hit on MLS. I think as well as I do, dude, the summer is like going to be crazy with all these different tournaments. Teams are losing players. You have.
Well, you guys are losing players. You sold Giakoumakis, our guy, my number one Golden Boot winner, and I also I have been hearing rumors. I don't know if you know anything. I don't know if you've heard anything, but Almada. There's some bids going out for him this summer. What do you know about what's going on with that? What do you know about the Giakoumakis thing? Like, give me some insight.
I do know, all I know is that when you have the chance, if you're Giorgios Giakoumakis, to go and whatever, maybe double, triple your salary. I don't really know. We know how much they pay in Mexico. If you're not going to get the deal that you want here in MLS, which I don't know if that's the case or not, but if there's an opportunity for your family to go and it's, life-changing money, then maybe you go. And that's what he did. And I didn't know GG for that long, but I had a good relationship with him. He's a fantastic striker. He's a great goal scorer. But look, at the end of the day, he's getting a little bit older. He's been a little bit injury prone since he's been in Atlanta. And so these are the decisions that clubs have to weigh up. And these are all the things that go into it. Right. And look, it's tough to replace a guy like that. Right. I mean,
yeah, I think it's, what did they get? 10 million for him?
That was the rumor. I don't know. I haven't asked.
That's a pretty penny for a guy that is obviously very talented, but if we're being honest about this season, he's not been off to a great start,
He's struggled to stay on the field. I mean, that's you and look, the club I think is doubling what they paid for him. So
that's an amazing sale.
If you're going to double your investment within a year of getting a guy, maybe a little bit longer, if it's a win-win for both parties, then for me, does it suck? Yeah, it does, because I wanted to play with that guy because he's obviously a fantastic player and kind of a guy who you think, hey, if this guy's on your side, you always have a chance in a game. But at the end of the day, if it works for both parties, you have to have it work out. As far as Thiago goes, did you see the goal he scored against DC United?
Holy hell.
He does that, and I'm like, man. He could do that every game, honestly. And he's just, you don't win a World Cup. You're not part of a World Cup winning team if you don't have just an elite amount of talent, and he does. And I think at this point, I don't know. I've seen the reports you have that we sold him some group for $20 million. Our GM said that they haven't spoke to anyone. So look, there's some back and forth. I'm sure that whatever's going on behind the scenes, the club in Atlanta United is going to do what they think is best for Atlanta United. I don't know how many times you've been through this, transfer rumors with guys. Great players are always going to have interest. That's a fact. And especially a guy who has big aspirations like I think Thiago does. The club and him have to get together and figure out what makes sense for both parties. Would it suck to lose him too? Yes, he's clearly one of our best players, one of the best players in the league. But
that was going to be my question, Dax, is, let's get down to tell me how that makes you feel, because as a guy that's a little bit older, you probably had, and I know you had, more than one option. Atlanta was not your only place to go, right? Sure. But you weighed a lot of things out, and ultimately you thought that Atlanta had the squad to, get to the promised land, right?
Yeah.
Now your coach is gone. Your super talented striker is gone, and there's rumors about arguably your most talented player going to get sold. So as a guy that just went there with all these hopes and hopes,
Yeah.
how does that make you feel? Are you like, what are we doing, or we like, this is the process?
It's a good question, Gordo, because part of my thought process when I was coming to Atlanta was, oh, I get to play with a World Cup winner and one of the best 10s in the league. Sweet.
Yes, please.
I get to play with an elite striker who scored 20 goals in 21 games last year, whatever it was. Sweet.
Yeah.
And now obviously the coach who brought me in, he's gone. The striker's gone, and who knows what's going to happen with Thiago, but it's a weird dynamic, man. Like, on the one hand, I'm definitely a big proponent of the club doing whatever is in the best interest of the club, even if it might hurt a little bit in the short term. So look, does it hurt in the short term to lose a great striker and potentially a great number 10 who's a wonderful player? Yeah, like that would hurt anyone, but nothing's done on the Thiago side. He's still at training. He's putting work in. He's happy guy, dude. He works extremely hard in training, which is all you can ask. So it's not really, I don't think, a distraction for him. I just know that the club, Atlanta United, in my opinion, is a club that will always have great players. They'll move on from great players and they'll bring new great players in. That's just a fact. That's what they will do. So look, if we do move on, this summer's a big summer. Like, I'm sure that they will bring in players that are going to be able to replace them at a high level. So look, man, it's a little bittersweet, because you're like, all right, well, that was part of the reason why I came here. But the other reason is, like, good challenge. Like, let's attack it head on. Like, I love a good challenge. You know that. So We'll see what happens.
Go.
But let's move on to Copa America. Enough about Atlanta United. Would you get a chance to watch the U.S. game, Gordo? U.S. Bolivia?
I did. I watched the whole game. You'd be proud of me. I'm so
proud of you. I actually.
Yeah, dude, I've been watching a lot of soccer lately. You guys are rubbing off on me. Dude, to be honest, man, I am
takeaways.
I am more intrigued in the U.S. team than I ever have been, ever. And it's just, what are they going to do next? What kind of performance, and here, listen, everybody said it. Bolivia wasn't strong. Bolivia was not strong. There wasn't a lot for our backs to do, so we weren't put under a lot of stress in the backs. So as far as distribution, I'm not sure that anybody in the back line, excluding Richards was Tim's always good. I thought he was very solid. I'm not sure about our right side. I don't think they had the best games, but Richards, he's the real deal, man. He has really impressed me. When he goes forward quick and strong, and usually gets something out of it. Tim Reams, his distribution's always been good as well. I feel like you have something to say about that.
I agree with you. I like Chris Richards. I don't think he had his best game. I thought he struggled playing out of the back. I think, look, the U.S. team in general right now, when I watch them, and I watched the game against Bolivia, it seems to me like there's like a little bit of an identity crisis. Like, we know how Greg wants to play, and I think he believes we have the players for them to be able to play like that. But it's risk versus reward. Like, at what cost? For me, the way that the national team is built right now and the players that we have at our disposal, we are at our absolute best when we don't have the ball as much and we can play in transition. Just look at the players that we have up front with Christian Pulisic, Fowler and Balogun, Tim Weah, Ricardo Pepi, Josh Sargent. Like, these players, yes, they all are, I'd say, competent in possession. But when you give these guys open space to be able to run and affect and move and hit a back line in transition, that for me is when we're at our best. That's when we look our most dangerous. And honestly, Tim Ream's great playing out of the back. Chris Richards is good, I think, playing out of the back. He played in midfield some for Crystal Palace this year. So look, I think he's one of our best center backs. But I don't think in general, especially with Matt Turner, I don't think we look super comfortable with the ball at our feet. in possession, playing out of the back, especially a team that is going to put us under a little bit more pressure than Bolivia did. To me, it would be, I think, beneficial for us when we play against smaller teams. Fine, have a little bit more of the ball, but I still want us to keep playing direct. I don't really want us to try. We have the only player that we have, in my opinion, who's a good enough player to have the ball under high pressure situations and unlock a back line, playing through the lines, creating. He's a creative 10, right? Is Gio Reyna. And the way Greg is using him, Gio is closer to the back line the last couple of games than he is to the front line, the attacking players. So Bolivia was not good. And I don't think the U.S. performance was great. They did what they needed to do. They won the game, which is, in these competitions, the most important thing is 3 points. And thank the scheduling gods for giving us Bolivia in the first game. You iron out a little bit of kinks, you get a little cobwebs out, a little bit of the nerves. You know what the competition is like now. You have your 3 points under your belt, and now you go into a much tougher game against Panama, who I thought looked pretty good against Uruguay. Were you able to see the Panama-Uruguay game?
Yep.
So Panama is going to be a much sterner test, and I'm going to go in person to the game, U.S.-Panama. It's in Atlanta, so they're training the U.S. team.
Almiron's coming home, baby.
What are you talking? He doesn't play for Panama.
Oh, I thought you meant Paraguay.
Almiron is not coming home.
Okay.
B, he played for Paraguay yesterday. I don't know where they are.
Yeah. I saw him play yesterday.
I love that. Maybe he will come home now that he just heard that clip.
I want him to come home.
Although he's not Panamanian. So I'll go to the US Panama game on Thursday. I'm excited about that. But yeah, dude, honestly, what team, if you've seen a couple other games, has there been any team that's overly impressed you in the Copa America? And on the flip side of that, any team where you're like, not great?
Yeah. I'll give you two. I think Uruguay looked really good against Panama. I think they are a front runner to win the tournament. I mean, I thought they looked super solid.
Yep.
And the most disappointing for me been Brazil. Watching them last night, they just are not the same. And we got a good result against them. And in Costa Rica, they have the youngest squad in the tournament, and they squeaked out. And Brazil didn't look overly dangerous. I know they sat back on the 18 or whatever, but
does the result the U.S. got against Brazil in that friendly leading up to the tournament, does that look a little worse now? Now that you're watching Brazil and you're like, what is happening with this team? Dude, it's weird. I hate agreeing with
you. They look bad, dude. They
didn't look bad. They dominated the game, but they look indecisive. They're not creating like super high value chances where you're like, oh, it's not Jogo Bonito, bro. It's not.
No,
it's really not. And you have this collection of so many world-class players.
But it's like ISO. It's like ISO.
It is.
It's like one guy getting the ball against two guys, and he's out on the left, like
Vinny
trying
Jr.,
to get across.
Dude.
Yeah.
Vinny Jr. was playing against, I think it was a teenager, like a 17, 18-year-old.
Yeah.
Costa Rica's backline. And he doesn't look as effective as he is with Real Madrid, right? And so for me, I think Brazil's biggest problem, which I agree with you 100%. Brazil doesn't look like the superpower and the fantastic team of great players that they have in the past. They look a little disjointed. They look a little bit unsure of themselves going forward, which is really weird to say about a Brazilian team. But one of my biggest issues is they don't have an Alan Gordon. They don't have a number 9. They don't have a target guy who they can bring in. This kid Endrick, I haven't seen much of him. He's 17 years old, but when they sub him in, he goes up and he's playing up top. And
did he sweat?
Yeah, he might not have moved more than in a 20-yard box. I don't know.
He's thick, boy.
Yeah, he is. Listen, dude, when you're young, what do you eat? You eat honey buns and you eat those crunch.
He's still got a baby fat.
He'll grow into his body a little bit, but like for me, I'm like Brazil. What I look at the U.S. result against Brazil, and I think now, I think the U.S. probably should have won that game.
Probably.
Thinking back and looking back on like how poor Brazil has been. I don't know, man. Brazil for me is a tricky one because they have the talent to turn it on at any moment. But I don't know how you take two players who both love playing on the left and Rodrigo and Vinny Jr. are your best players, I don't know where you move them. Like I don't
Right.
know how you get the best out of both of them. They both
I
like to
don't
play
think
the same position.
I don't think they know either,
They don't.
obviously.
They
Right.
don't. But for me, Colombia, and look, we saw Colombia against the US.
They're dope.
Colombia looks really good, man. They look
They
really
do.
strong. Like I feel like Colombia is a team that you don't want to see in this tournament in the
They're
knockouts.
good.
They haven't lost in 20 games. They've got world-class players playing on every line defensively, in the midfield, in the attack. It's just Dude, it's just one of those teams where you're like, okay, forget about what they did against the US. Like, look at what they've been doing in World Cup qualifying, right? Like, and they are an elite team with who, in my opinion, has one of the best players in the tournament, Luis Diaz. This dude is nasty. I don't want to be
Well,
isolated one-on-one with him.
and James looks good. Like,
Yeah, he
where did he
does.
go? And he looked good.
Dude,
He had 2 assists, right?
He's been out and about.
Yeah, he looks good.
I
So
don't
they're
know where he's been the last couple of years, but I'll say if you get Luis Diaz and James Rodriguez playing at a high level with that back line, Colombia, dude, they're a team you don't want to face. And I think
yeah,
if the US will advance out of the group, by the way. In my opinion, they're going to beat Panama. And I think they'll play better than they did against Bolivia. And then the Uruguay game is a really big litmus test. Like for me,
for
that
sure.
is it's not make or break because you're going to get out of the group whether you win or lose that. But that's kind of a line in the sand game. That's hey, we're playing one of the best teams in the tournament.
Yeah.
We want to win and we want to have confidence going into the next round. It doesn't matter who we play because I think they're matched up with, this is where we need Gargs. I think they're matched up with the Brazil-Colombia group. So
Oh,
you're
shit.
looking at, it doesn't matter, first or second, you're
Right.
probably taking on one of those teams. And so
Yeah.
you beat Uruguay, you put a marker down saying,
Yeah.
this
Boom.
this is what we're here for. Do you have a prediction after watching the first couple games of who's going to win the tournament? Give it to me right now.
Um, if I was going to pick somebody, I would pick. I haven't seen Argentina play. They're obviously. I don't know. They're the defending champs, right? I mean, it's either for me, it's either Uruguay, Colombia, or Argentina. I'll pick Colombia, dude. I really will. I would pick Colombia for all the reasons you just said. They look good.
I'm going to be boring. Argentina. It's Messi's still playing at such a high level, and I don't know, man. There's something about like this like farewell. It feels like a farewell tour for Messi, right?
Yeah.
Like, who knows if he's going to play in 2026? But just did you see the clip of him in Atlanta where against Canada where they came out really late after halftime, and it's like the entire Argentinian team, and they all wait, and then Messi comes to the front, and he stops, and he turns around, and everyone's just like looking at him. They're just waiting, and the Messi goes, he's like adjusting his armband, and he's like, "Okay,
I'm ready."
And they go.
No, I didn't see
It's
it.
cool. It
is cool, dude. And there's 3 of them. One was about as heartbreaking as they could ever be in the Euros with Modric. That's a farewell tour, right?
Yep,
It seems like. And then Cruz with Germany, that's a farewell tour.
Yep.
And Messi, it's like 3 of the greatest to do it, or some of the greatest to do
Very
it.
good point.
That
was heartbreaking, dude.
That was so heartbreaking.
If you're Italian, you're like buzzing. But dude, did you the ending of that game was fantastic. It was
I was on the phone working from home with a client and I'm watching it in the back and Reese, my son, just starts screaming. And I'm like trying to put it on mute. I'm like, bro, I'm on a work call, but I'm like, going crazy like silently. It was wild, dude. Wow.
I gotta say, the Italians, how do they like? It's just
how
what
do they do that.
It's just tournament. It's just tournament play, and like you said, to see a guy who I love watching, Luka Modric, go out like that, that's a dagger, dude. That's a dagger to the heart. I wonder if he'll keep playing for Croatia or not. Cruz has already announced his retirement. Obviously, you don't know what's going to happen in the next year or two, but this guy's a machine, dude. He seems like he just keeps going from strength to strength. But
sure.
enough with the boring soccer talk. We're gonna get into some fun stuff. And
all right, let's go.
I know that most of the people who listen to us know that we played together, but our that year we played together in Chicago. I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but I want to know if you can give people a little bit of color on like what you were thinking going to Chicago. how, like, your living situation, like how you were going to navigate that. I want to know, as a guy who's a little bit older, who is like, coming to Atlanta, is the family going to stay in Nashville? Like, how did you sell that to Sandy? How did you sell that to your wife? Like, what was the discussion like, and what ultimately led you to keep playing?
Yeah, dude. I don't know how I can fit it in our short segment here, but
Keep it tight.
yeah, try to keep it tight. I mean,
Keep it
it
tight.
was just one of those things that, you retire. I think you have an idea of what you want to do, which was different than me.
Did you
I
talk?
kind
Did
of
you
thought,
real quick? Did you already talk about your last game in Colorado? What you did?
no, I mean, I was going to retire. I literally, I used to do this thing where I would smoke, do 5v2 and hold my fingers up like I was smoking
Yes.
a cigarette against the young guys just to kind of take a piss. And
Did you
my
not
last
light one
practice,
up in the locker room after the last game?
yeah, my last practice, they gave me a Coors, a pack of Coors and a pack of cigarettes. And I came in steaming hot because we lost and all these the kids were just pissing me off. I was like an old, grumpy old guy. They're all on their phones. They don't care that we just lost this pointless fucking game that I care.
Yeah.
And I just come in, I see it. I'm like, thanks, guys. So I open up the pack, I light it up, and I pop open a beer, and I'm just walking up and down the locker room, and I'm like telling the young kids, I'm like, and I'm naked, I'm naked. My balls are just hanging down. I'm like, you want to end up like me? I'm like 37. I don't have shit to show for it. Like, go back to school, kid. Smoking my cigarette, drinking my beer. And
That's so
Bobby
good.
Burling took a picture of me at my locker naked, and I got a Coors and I got a cigarette. And in the background, there is two academy of kids. They're like 16 years old, and their eyes are about as wide as they could be, and they're looking at me like, "What is this guy doing?" I thought I was
Dude,
retiring.
that's so good. So okay, so you go through that. You convince
Okay,
Sandy somehow to let you keep playing.
yeah, I convince her, and then I get out there. I got a broken back. I get through. I get through. Bono wants to sign me either way. Get through. And I'm like, I'm not moving the family out. We knew we were going to stay in Colorado, and so I needed a place to live, and I wasn't making a ton of money, so I'm like, I'm going to do this as cheap as possible. Call my college buddy up, who I'm going to visit, Pete Billmeyer. I'm going to visit him this weekend. And he was just like, dude, you could stay in my basement. It'll be great. So I'm like almost 40, living in a basement. And then his wife gets pregnant, or she's pregnant, and then they're gonna have a baby. She decides she doesn't want me in the house anymore. And then I went and lived with you. You're like, dude, come sleep on my couch.
Come to daddy.
Come to daddy.
Because you kept telling me, it's because you kept telling me all these freaking sob stories about how you were going to be a firefighter, and you were like, I got to study for my firefighter's exam, and that's what I'm going to do. And
well, that's why I ended up playing, is the short of it, because I was going to be a firefighter. I had to pass my EMT, and it was going to take me about 6 months to study for it.
right.
And I'm like, well, go get paid and study, or sit here and earn no money and study. So I went and played one more year and ended up not being a firefighter anyway. So it was a complete waste of time.
How did Sandy handle that? Was it just flying back and forth after games? Just
Oh, it was awful. It was
arguments?
awful. I mean, yeah, it was awful. It was tough on us, but we made it through like anything else. And she was a trooper. She had the kids, and daddy was doing
Daddy
his
was
thing.
doing what was daddy doing? Daddy was doing beer miles.
I did a beer mile, yes, with you. You didn't do it, but I think you were the judge.
I wasn't invited. I was invited to watch.
Yeah, you were invited to watch, but Reed, our old guy Reed, he challenged me to a beer mile, which is you have to chug a beer and run you have to do that 4 consecutive times for a mile on a track. And he was saying that he was like the world's greatest.
He was the best.
The beer mile. And I was like, dude, I'll challenge you. And I had jeans and Vans on, and I smashed him. Absolute smash house.
I still have videos in my phone of that.
This is Alan Gordon, and this is the beer mile.
No surprise who's coming in first and second. And we go. And we go. How was the first lap in jeans, Gordo?
This is awful.
Because
So if anybody
I
wants
think
to
you
challenge,
I think you looked fitter after slamming beers and like running around the track than you actually did on a soccer field.
that's my element, dude.
And so I have one more question about our time in Chicago, which you hit on it a little bit, but dude, I don't know how to put this without sounding ridiculous. Before a road trip, somehow the young guys convinced you to put your manhood in a soccer boot. And it went viral and it was hilarious. And I'm still racking my brain trying to figure out how a 37-year-old Alan Gordon was like, you know what? This is a great idea. Let's do this. I'm convinced that I need to do this right now before a road trip, before we left. And I'm going to post it on social media.
Well, listen, that's not how they didn't convince me to do anything.
You're susceptible to peer pressure. You're that guy.
No, they didn't. This is how it happened. Again, we got smashed right before the road trip in a small-sided game. I was pissed, and I walked in, and we all had our Adidas boots, our new line of Adidas boots that they want you to post on social media. And
that's right.
And they're all sitting on our chair, and I see all the young guys in there on their social posting it, whatever. And I get a message from Rich Motzkin. He's like, dude, Adidas wants you to post this. I'm like, Rich, I'm not posting. I'm retiring. I'm not posting. He's like, please just do it. Like, please, I'm begging you. And I'm like all pissed. And Drew Connor's sitting next to me. And I open it up and I'm like, and I'm going to take a shower. So I'm naked. I'm like, I would go, Drew, what do you think Adidas would say if I stuck my dick in this shoe and I posted it on social media? And he's like, you wouldn't do that. Him and DJ are like, you wouldn't do that. I was like,
but he's like grinning ear to ear because he knows you would do it.
Yeah. It's like I double dog dare it. And I was like, the hell I wouldn't. I was like, bro, I'm retiring. They can do nothing to me. So I'm like, grab your camera. Let's go in the back room. So we go back there. I'm naked. He's like, wait, hold on. He puts like some dart, and then he becomes like the director. He puts
He's the creative director. He fancies himself a creative director.
Yeah, he's like, wet your hair. I was like, okay. And then he like pulls down a string like this, and then he takes it. Oh man, and it didn't look great.
And
then I did it. You know,
looked pretty ripped. Let's be honest. He edited that thing pretty.
He edited it. Well, it didn't look that great, so I wasn't going to post it because I was like pale. It was Chicago during the winter, and then he gets on the bus. He's like, "Let me see that picture," and he edits it. And I'm like, he's like, "Oh, Gordo, you're gonna like this." And I look at it, and I'm all ripped, you know, and I'm like, "Oh, post it right now."
Oh, it's so good. You know, I hope for people that haven't seen it, I'm gonna see if Statman Jack can't get us a little like a little light bulb, bing, put it right up here, and for people to see it, because you had darts, you had everything, and so you ended up getting a phone call from a special someone about an hour later.
Yeah, and then the GM and my agent called me and said, Adidas and the club want you to take that down immediately. I was like, it's getting a lot of good traction. Are you sure?
You're like, this is a great promotion for Adidas. I don't know.
I'm like,
what more could you possibly want?
Right. So anyway,
I gotta say, that was one of my favorite times in Chicago with you. We were just kind of crazy, dude. And I like that about the team feel. Like, do you miss that? And that's what you kind of get with Sneaky Fox, right? You get that camaraderie on nights out. Like, this was pre-COVID, right? Like, guys were just enjoying themselves out on the town in a great city like Chicago. I remember one night we went out, and you know, we had a good group with us, and somehow, I don't remember why or how, but I had a brand new pair of Adidas boots in like a backpack. And this backpack, we were like, you know, day drinking, having a nice time. I have no idea why we brought it into the bar, but we did. And we were, you know, having a good time. And for some reason, someone was like, oh, dude, like someone was like, oh, like I think they dared DJ or someone to take a shot out of the boot. And so like just typical, like crazy, like Neanderthal, like pro athlete dudes were like, yeah, dude, that'll be so funny. And it wasn't worn, like it was clean, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we pour a shot in a boot, bam, back. I think I have pictures of that too. We did that all night, and it was like the weirdest thing that you could possibly do.
Little
And
did DJ know that was the boot that I used for the picture.
Dude, it's like why do we do these weird things? It's just like a brotherhood. Like you just don't care. You're just out, you're with your boys. I feel like that's where you forge like the strongest, tightest bonds and connections.
You do, and that's the stuff that you miss when it's done, because you don't act like that.
Yes.
It's like that's
right?
that's the weirdest part about like the going from doing that to then hanging out with like neighborhood dads.
It's
They
like
don't do that shit. Yeah, it's so
dude.
They don't do that shit. They're like,
I love the neighborhood I'm in right now in Atlanta. It's great. And when we moved here, one of the neighborhood dads came by and he was like, "Hey man, like, nice to meet you. My kid's down here, whatever." And he put me in a group chat with the other neighborhood dads, and it was like 10 people, all numbers. And like I just start getting all these notifications of people introducing themselves, but it's all the dads, and then they say their name and then they say their nickname. And I'm like, oh my God, like, this is going to be ridiculous. But it's just like dudes, bro. It's like,
yeah,
it's having a good time. It is much different. I know that you missed that. One thing that I'm very excited about, Gordowski, and we know that, you're not really a linguist. Me and Gargs know that. You wear it well. It's not your strong suit. But I'm hoping that you have a photographic memory. I'm hoping you're a good teammate, because this is a game we've been wanting to play for a long time. And we call it Blast from the Past. I've gone through a couple rosters that you've been on, and I've just decided to pick out some random teammates that have been on those rosters. So I'm going to send you a picture, okay? And Statman Jack, post-production, because we're a real fancy podcast, he's going to throw it up for people that watch on YouTube to see as well, because some of these pictures are amazing. This first one is one that I honestly couldn't be more excited about.
I'm going to look like such an asshole teammate, dude. There's no way I'm going to remember these guys' names.
So I gave you, there's 5. I feel like I gave you 2 pretty, I don't, 2 hard ones and 3 pretty ones that you should get. Okay. But I was doing this research, buddy. 2004 Portland Timbers. This is absolutely hilarious researching this team. I was Googling like half these guys and I couldn't find any pictures. So I found a picture. I'm going to send you the picture right now. This is one of your teammates. The best pictures I could find of him are in black and white. That should describe to you exactly what you're about to see right now. All right, buddy.
What a great team, dude. We won the Supporter Shield that year.
In 2004.
Yeah, I was Golden Boot.
Yeah, but that was at USL?
USL.
Yeah. Okay.
And we won the Supporter Shield. Yeah.
I'm going to send you 2 pictures. Let's hope that they come through. All right, here we go. And I'll start.
Oh, I know him. I know him. This guy was a legend.
Yeah.
Benny. I won't get his last name.
Dude, I am actually so proud of you, because his name isn't actually Benny. His name is Scott Benedetti.
Benedetti.
But his nickname is Benny.
That's right. We called him Benny. So funny story about this dude is he was an MLSer, I believe. Didn't know who he was. Total legend. But he was like 37 or like he was like old.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I was a rookie and he paid me like $50. He had this side job and he was like a welder. And he paid me $50 to go work for him for like 3 hours. It was not worth the money, but like I was like carrying these sheets of metal, and I was like, why the fuck am I here? It's like he just grabbed a rookie. I was like, yeah, sure. And I went and worked for him for a whole Saturday. So funny.
I was hoping you would have something like that for me. Gordo. He's born in 1966.
You're lying.
You played with a guy born in 1966.
Dude, that is incredible.
I'm just I looked at that and I was like, I got to put it in there. The fact that you remember him, dude.
One of the only guys I remember.
I picked the only guy, he's the oldest guy on the roster.
He was because he had me work for him. I was slaving for him.
That is actually incredible. Hold on, let's go through this guy's career real quick. He played for the Colorado Foxes, the Seattle Storm, the Miami Freedom, Pumas down in Mexico.
No way.
The Tacoma Stars in indoor.
Damn.
He also earned a cap for the U.S. men's national team in 1996.
You're kidding me.
Unbelievable, dude. Unbelievable.
Yeah, he was still pretty good. You know, he was older, you could tell, but he was
and
still
I want to tell you, it's hard to trust Wikipedia, but on his Wikipedia, it says that he owns his own home building company, Axiom Luxury Homes. We're giving him free advertising right now. But listen, you're slanging mortgages. He's building homes.
You're right.
I'm seeing a connection here, buddy. I'm seeing a connection here, buddy. All right, I'll be the middleman. No problem. You write that down.
Benedetti. All right, he's getting a call.
All right, you're 1 for 1. I'm giving you that because that is his nickname. So congrats. Hats off to you. Let's go. Picture number 2. Damn, that was one of the harder ones. I'm nervous now. I'm thinking you're gonna get all these. All right, former teammate of both of us, coming in hot. Bam.
There she comes.
You need another picture, let me know. That one's a little
Oh yeah. That's Marcello. That's Marcello Zaragoza. And then he went down to play in Dallas with you, didn't he?
He sure did. And I tell you what, the reason I picked him was because you played with a couple Brazilians, and I was like, maybe he won't quite remember which Brazilian is which.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
he's a handsome son of a gun.
He is very handsome, but he was also a pain in the ass. And I got a story. Yeah. I got a story about him. You know how training back in the day, not training currently, training back in the day, there was probably a fight in training once a week.
Oh yeah, and he was the two-footed.
He was probably, love the guy now, but when we were teammates, he was probably the first guy who I literally thought we are going to get in a fist fight and someone's going to leave on a stretcher. Because we were playing against each other all the time. Either
I was trying to hurt you. He was probably trying to hurt you.
I was starting and he was pissed, or he was starting and I was pissed. And we didn't really play together that much. But he's the type of guy that if you played against each other in training 11v11, he would try to kick you constantly.
He would.
So I remember one training session. I'm a young guy, dude. I think I was probably 19 or 20 at the time. And I think he's probably pissed off. I was playing. He played more than me. But when I was playing, dude, he kicked me one training session. And it was on, dude. It was on. It was the only time in training where it was full blown, jerseys grabbed, maybe some haymakers were trying to fly, some face, when you grab the shirt and you kind of give them a little rabbit punch, And I felt I was dude, I was a little shrimp, kind of similar to how I still am. But dude, you see red, you're it's over. You're going for it. I don't know if he was like that in Galaxy because he's a little bit younger back then, but
no. He was, dude. And you're right. The trainings have changed, man. They have changed. And that's why when I was older, I was getting pissed because I played with him in 2004. He probably went to Dallas in 2005 and we won a championship together. You know, the day before the MLS Cup, Pondo, the guy that ends up the Guatemalan, the guys that scores the game winner, and Paulo Nagamura got in a fist fight because Pondo went at him 2 foot. That's just the way we trained a day before on a chill day.
It's unhinged, but that's how you did it.
That's how it was done. And I know for a fact that you're not telling lies because Marcelo, he was going after guys.
He was about it. He was about it. We're good now. Fun fact about Marcelo, he played with me at Dallas, but he played at a couple different USL teams. He's actually, if Wikipedia is to be believed, he's actually the director of soccer operations at Austin Bold. So
good for him.
Good for him. Always a guy I liked.
Great dude off the field.
I liked him better when we weren't teammates anymore. Let's put it that way.
No, I mean, he's a great dude off the field, but I remember when he wasn't playing, dude, he was going after dudes. He took it. This was his job and his livelihood, dude. You could tell he was playing for his children.
He was.
You know what I mean?
And just a point on how things have changed a little bit. Before you got to Chicago, when I first got there, Georgie Mihailovic, and he'll back this story up 100%. We were playing a little game, and this is just how times have changed, and I think how people do things a little bit differently now. And like, right, like you got young kids, and I was in Chicago and we were playing a little game, and it was a stupid game. And me and Georgie had a disagreement on like one of the rules or something that happened. It was a crossbar. I thought he didn't hit the crossbar. He thought he did, and his team ended up winning because of it. I was like, Georgie, you liar, whatever. He said something to me, and I forgot what he said, but it was like, I didn't like it. He was this young kid, and I was like, I went over and I was like, I don't, that's not respectful, whatever. We kind of got into it a little bit, and I got in his face and I pushed him a little bit. And I didn't punch him or anything, but I kind of went after him a little bit.
Yeah.
And Pano, who's the craziest guy out of everyone, like literally insane, was like, we can't handle situations like that. We're a group, we're a team. I'm like, that's exactly how you handle situations.
Hell
like,
yeah.
That's how you get closer as a team.
Yes.
I got called in by the higher ups, and they were like, hey, we heard about this situation and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, guys, we didn't even throw punches. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, this is crazy. I once saw Oscar Pareja and Bobby Ryan, rest in peace. I once saw them leave a training field, like train, go at it, exchange words, finish training out, and they both ran into the locker room so they could fight one-on-one.
No way.
That happened. That actually happened, and that's how you handle it. And so
that's how you handle it.
We come from that era, and now it's like now, and I don't want to be the guy who yells at a cloud or the get off my lawn guy, but it's just, look, these things happen, man. When you're in a competitive, like professional environment, I feel like you can't cross the line. You can't pull a Draymond Green and just sucker punch someone.
Right.
But if guys are training hard and guys are intense and guys are training how they are supposed to train, like this type of stuff happens, right? But I digress. You're on fire, my friend. I'm actually really nervous now. You're going to get more of these. So that was Marcelo. You played with him 2005 LA Galaxy. You played with Benny 2004 Portland Timbers. This next one is 2011 Toronto FC.
Oh, there's no chance.
Maybe.
No.
I got another picture if you need help. A better one. Are you good?
Hey, give me one more.
Okay. I got a great history with this guy. Yes, I got him.
That's not fair. I played 8 games there.
Doesn't matter. I got him.
Hell is that?
All right. How much more? I'm giving you 5 seconds. You think you would get it or no?
No.
All right. I'm going to help you out a little bit. English, born in Liverpool, went to UC Santa Barbara.
Andy Iro?
Yes.
I didn't play with him.
You didn't play with Iro?
No.
How is that possible?
He must
be on TFC 2011
for the first. Did he get traded mid-season?
I think so.
He wasn't on the team. You didn't get me. Yeah.
Come on, really?
I thought it looked like Andy Iro, and I was
okay. So when I look up 2011 Toronto FC roster, and he's on the roster, and you're on the roster, you guys didn't play together.
I was in and out, baby. I was in and out.
Was this after you punched the trainer?
Yes, I was there 8 games. So he must have He must have got traded after.
Listen, you still ended up getting it, which is kind of impressive.
Yeah.
So how did you get it if you didn't play with him?
Because I'm on a men's group mental health call with him currently.
No way, dude. Come on. See, that's not fair. And the fact that I picked him is insane.
That is insane. And Iro, we've been going back and forth because we played against each other for a long time. He was on Columbus, and we would battle.
MLS Cup champion Andy Iro. And so
when did you play with him?
I never played with Iro, but I do have a history with him. 2010. This goes to just dudes being bros. 2010, after the season was over, we had just lost MLS Cup with Dallas. I was sad and upset, and I was on a bender of epic proportions. Do you ever go on those like season's over when you were young and you're like, I'm just gonna send it. It's over.
Yes. Dude, still do. I forgot where I went first, but I think I went home, and then my brother was playing at UNC at the time, and they made it to College Cup. College Cup was in Santa Barbara. I had heard whispers of some of the Santa Barbara boys
some of my best friends, Eric Avila, who went to UCSB, won a national championship with them. He was one of my
Dan Kennedy?
friends.
Was Dan Kennedy on that team?
DK, I don't know. He might have been. He might have been a little bit older, but they won a national championship, I think in 06, 07,
Okay,
something like
okay.
that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Yeah.
I had heard whispers that they were going to rent a house, like a nice, like big house, and they were just going to like have a crazy weekend. And I was like, I'm going to go support my brother. Flew out there. Dude, this house that we rented, by the way, have you ever been to Santa Barbara?
Yes. It's a dream.
It is stunning. And it's an unbelievable campus. And I can't ever give Chris Pontius or Avi or even Iro crap about going to school there, because it's like
The best.
out of like a dream, bro. It's stunning. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Right on the beach.
Yeah.
Dude, this house it kind of felt like a more tame version of Entourage, where you just
Right.
had people going in and out. It was me, Chris Pontius, Eric Avila, Breck Shea, Andy Iro, who I had just met for the first time, Michael and Gabe Farfan,
Okay.
Rodney Wallace. Bro, it was
Damn.
it was awesome. And it was like
That's
3-4
great.
days, partied at the house, went to the games, cheering my brother on, like my parents were there. Dude, it was like one of the best weekends that we've ever had. We were going to like house parties and we were on the beach, and it was sick. It was so fun. And I remember Iro, the only time I've ever hung out with him was that weekend. And I'll never forget it. Never crossed paths with him, never played with him. But I digress.
Great dude.
One fun fact about him is he played, Gary Smith coached in England for a team called Stevenage. Iro played for Gary Smith at Stevenage.
No way.
Telling you, man, small world.
Small
Soccer
world.
world's a small world.
I like that. You've done
I'm
some
nervous,
good research.
dude. I feel like you're on fire. I wanted to give you a chance to get some. I got 2 more. I'm going. Here comes another one in the group chat right now. Bam. This is 2012 Quakes.
Are you kidding me? Marvin Chavez? This guy's one of my favorites, dude. Bro, I mean, maybe I am a really good teammate because
You got a photographic memory, dude. You're doing well here.
Marvin Chavez, this guy was one of my favorites. All he ever said was "Papi, hey papi, hey papi," and he's one of the most talented guys. I'm not joking.
Sick.
Honduran, he was so sick. And shout out to AJ De La Garza, will forever be ingrained in history as falling down with the epic comeback with the Quakes and the Galaxy when he does a double step over and AJ stumbles back.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, and
How many assists did this guy get you?
he got the 1 year that I had a good year there. He probably got me 5 or 6. So he was right and left foot. It just sometimes he didn't want to play.
No.
But when he did, he's just one of those guys. When he did, he was legit. He was so good. Did he play for Dallas?
He played for Dallas.
He did, right?
Great guy. Got an assist in 2010 MLS Cup final to David Ferreira. Great player.
Yeah.
Fast as hell. Bonus points if you can tell me his nickname.
Oh, what was his name?
Spanish.
I can't remember.
El hijo de viento.
Oh, wow.
You know what it means?
No.
The
little devil. The what?
The son of the wind.
Oh, yes.
El hijo de viento. All right. So
that makes sense.
If you see
He's
him
one of my
again,
favorites, dude. One of my favorites.
Again. All right. Now, okay. So listen, I thought I made a few of these hard for you. I guess not. This one from our time, 2018 Chicago Fire. Obviously, you should get this one. But I still had a little bit of fun with it. Here it comes, coming in hot.
Del Greco. I feel bad. I thought he's got to be one of the world's worst signings in history. He is one of the nicest dudes
He's the
on
best.
the planet Earth.
I'm glad you remember. He's Argentine guy that we signed, and I just
He could hardly kick a soccer ball.
I remember thinking like, what a nice guy, but like we needed help. Like, you know what I mean? We needed someone to we needed to sign players who were going to come in and contribute, right? And I think he was more of like a project for them, but like we needed guys to play. And I actually was like looking back at stats. I don't even think he played one game. I don't even think he got on the field.
He couldn't. He couldn't put him in. And I used to make Drew Connor die laughing because we'd be like sitting on the bench and I have my hand like this and I'd be like, oh my God. Oh my, no, Del Greco. Don't, oh God.
I don't think he played.
But it was like,
or something?
I don't know. Maybe he was in practice.
He's a great dude, great guy. First of all, I'm glad you remember him. He was a sweetheart. Just one of the signings from MLS where you're kind of wondering like, does this really?
And he's on like 250, and you're like, come
you're
on.
Just like you can find play. This goes back to MLS like 1.0, 2.0. Like you can find guys like. I feel like this goes back to our USL conversation with how many good players there are in USL. Like you're scouting, like you should be sure about the players that you're going to sign, that they can come in and help and like make a difference. And like,
I know.
It just didn't, right? And the only thing I remember about Del Greco is he's such a nice person, like really, like genuinely great dude. At the end of the season, and I know you literally hopped in the Bronco or whatever pickup truck you had after our last game of the season. You had all your bags packed already. You didn't come home. You didn't come back to my house after. You literally flew back down the highway, probably all night to Denver after we lost our last game of the season. But the guys that had guaranteed contracts for the next year, we had to keep training. They forced us to keep training. So I'll never forget, it was like 8 of us training, and it was terrible. And it was like cold and bad weather, and you lost in the playoffs, and all you want to do, or we didn't even make the playoffs. And all you want to do is just go on vacation and go home, and they're getting punished, right? And I know you remember Katai.
Yeah.
Del Greco and Katai got into an all-out brawl in training. And I swear, I never told you about this. And I was like one of the first guys in there to break it up. And I saw a side of Del Greco where I was like, dude, I haven't seen this side of you yet. Like, this is kind of awesome. Kind of awesome. So nice. you match that sweetheart, right, with this guy who like has the ability to like go nuts, but like Katai was like doing something and was like yelling at him, and he was just like, "Oh yeah," and they just went
done.
It was a look. It was a look. Yeah, that was all it took. But Gordo, I'm like, my head is spinning because I saw a bunch of players on the roster, like young guys, and like I wanted to give you a chance. The fact that you went 5 for 5, and one of the guys apparently wasn't even your teammate. I'm gonna have to.
I surprised myself.
I'm gonna have to rethink this. I'm gonna have to rethink how difficult I make this. But yeah, one thing is you're not a linguist. You're not good with your words, but you got a photographic memory, buddy. You're a good teammate. I think that's what people would come on here and say about you. The Sneaky Fox boys would probably say you're a good coach, would they?
I'm a hype man. I'm not.
Okay, we're still our dedicated fans. We're still waiting for a video, some sort of pregame speech you gave. Like you said, you had it.
I have not been sent it, but I will get it for the pod, and you guys can tell me, what the motivation level is.
Buddy, I got to tell you, I had a great time. This was a fun pod.
This is fun, dude. This is fun.
We're gonna start doing a little bit more of this, right? Like it just flows better without Gargs. He's obviously still going to be involved. Like we love him, right? But maybe we'll start going back and forth with hosting duties. Who knows? We'll see.
Maybe we can control the mute button, and when we don't want to hear him anymore, we just mute him.
How about you be like Tony Reale on Around the Horn, and like when you get sick of Gargs' voice, you just mute him. Bam! I'll make you moderator next time, okay, bud? Gordo, 5 for 5. Wow, that's impressive. We got Euros, we got Copa America, Summer of Soccer. It's a lot of fun. We are gonna have some fun guests on very soon. Keep your ears out, and thanks for joining us.